Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Biome Podcast. This week I'm going live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And I attempted to record earlier and my washing machine went crazy and I was like, okay, well, I don't have time to record now, so I guess I'll go live. So we're a little late. Normally we go live right at noon Pacific. It's about 12:40, but I'm sure you can forgive me. So I wanted to talk this week. I actually just finished a really beautiful energetic exercise that I'm doing these 15 days right now of energetic exercises, engaging the elementals, energy flows, and playing with the energies of peace, which was really kind of influenced by this podcast and some other conversations that I've had today, this morning, and been having with myself around neurological health, let's say, and regulating our nervous system and having peace, actually having true peace, because one of the things we talked about earlier in my class is that peace for a lot of people is one of those things that it's kind of like, well, when you agree with me, we'll have peace. It's way more based on the alignment and agreement of points of view rather than the choice that we actually all have for more peace and like a true sense of space and communion with ourselves, with our bodies, with the earth, with the universe, as a choice, as a choosable reality. And doesn't require anybody to get on board with anything you've got going on. And that's something that can just be translated, throughout our lives, like in relationships, in business, in so many ways, where so often we, tend to wait for other people to show up and align and agree with us, support our point of view, get on board, or in business, we want people to choose us, being the chosen one, rather than being the choosing one who is like, I'm creating a future here. I'm creating something greater, something different. I know what I'm creating. I know what I'm up to, and I'm going to do it. And so it's having the strength, and which includes really the neurological strength, to have choice as a reality, for the energies of peace, as well as so many other energies, is really a something that we can be cultivating and developing over time. And part of that is having a connection to our own bodies and our own nervous system, which, if we look at this entrepreneurial biome conversation, nurturing the ecosystem of business, body, and living, that's this podcast. If we look at that, developing neuroplasticity, neurological health, and the ability to choose peace in moments of stress, choose ease in moments of stress, choose, whatever it is that we would like to choose to allow us to relax and receive and stay connected to ourselves and not go haywire neurologically. That is something that we really develop over time. And it really is, it can be facilitated in a lot of ways by a lot of tools. And I wanted to share some of those tools today on the podcast. And, some of them are tools that require you to set aside some time and space for, and some of them are tools that you can use in the moment. And to me, the in the moment ones can be really kind of critical in a way, because a lot of times we're in situations, a heated, work situation or relationship situation, where you can't go, take a nap or do some movement or, go lay down on the earth. All great things for creating a deeper sense of relaxation and neurological health. And also, well, okay, so there's the kind of like bigger things that we can choose over time in our lives to facilitate that. And then there's the in the moment things of, okay, I'm in a meeting, it's stressful, we're not having any sort of peace anywhere imaginable here. What do I do? So okay, so let's talk about both types of tools that I would recommend, because the thing about stress relief and managing our neurological health, our biochemical health, the health of how we show up in the world, which translates into, honestly, the success of our businesses and relationships and finances and families and all that. It's something that it's very connected to the body, because our bodies and our nervous system can actually kind of hijack us and take us out of presence, where we have more of our skills and capacities to be able to show up as us, to show up in the way that we really would like to show up, not in reactivity, but actually in like proactivity, in the awareness of what's going to create a greater future beyond reaction, and the ability to not react, not only with how you open your mouth, but what's happening in your body. And they're actually quite connected, because when your nervous system, your sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for fight or flight, when that kicks in, you're far less resourced in your own world to be able to respond appropriately in a situation that's going to create a greater future. That's where we go to knee jerk, and knee jerk, it's kind of an interesting term, because knee jerk is actually, knee jerk is how we, it is a reaction. It's a neurological reaction coming from the most basic elementary part of our brain, responsible for that, part of the nervous system, which is great. I mean, we want to have that, when you have health in that part of your brain and that part of your neurology, and there isn't so much reactivity, then you also have you have an ability to kind of survey the scene, before you jump in and react to something. And so cultivating that in our bodies allows us to cultivate that in our everywhere. So how do we do that? What are some resources for that? So first of all, for me, there's a tool in many different bodies of work. Access Consciousness has it's called an hour a day and a day a week just for you. I love that. And Strategic Coach, which is another program that I am participating in right now, they have a whole time system that's about creating, making sure you have time for you, free days. It's called their Entrepreneurial Time System. And however you want to look at it, it, like, basically what we're looking at here is making sure that you have time to not wake up and be running all day, and then you go to bed and you're just so super and overcharged neurologically, biochemically, which depletes you. Ultimately, it depletes your body, it depletes everything, your energy, and does not, generally speaking, translate actually into a greater business and greater relationships. A greater business is cultivated over time with patience, with a sense of dedication to creating a different future. It's cultivated over time with our presence and like, kind of that, like, slow and steady wins the race in a way, and it doesn't even have to be slow, but present and resourced. And so many entrepreneurs get out of bed, start running, and stop and fall back in bed, and they do that every day, over and over and over. And obviously that's going to blow out your adrenals, and, it's going to create a lot of burnout in the body and in your world. So making sure that you have time in your schedule every day. And I mean every day. Our bodies like to be cared for every day, to tend to your own biome, to your body. That's part of your biome, your energetic entrepreneurial biome. But making sure that you have time. And I actually put it in my calendar. I literally block out time. This is when I'm going to move my body. This is when I'm going to, and I'm not super structured with it, but I do make sure that there's never a day that's just like solid, that sends me into a tizzy just even looking at it. So now with that time, what do you do? And I would say for me, I look at how I nourish my body and the nutrients of my body, like the nutrients that I provide my body. They're not just in what I feed myself. To me, food is actually kind of a small part of the nutrients that I provide my body and my life, my biome, how I nourish the biome and nurture the biome. And movement to me is let's say kind of like a food group. I've got to have movement every day. Downtime, just whatever that looks like. Some element of time just chilling out, whether it's just lying on my back or being outside or, and it could involve movement too. It could be like a slow walk in the woods or something like that. But just having that time and space. And then of course, there's the food and the drink and all of that kind of stuff. And I would say also that, energy is also a source of nourishment of our bodies. And so some people do grounding where you go outside and you stand, that's really the earth, my backyard, my lawn has been calling me lately. I'm like, I need to go put my bare feet on the lawn, or lay down on the lawn, because there's something really that can be very deeply feeding our bodies when we spend time actually touching the earth, with our feet or with our bodies in some way. There's a whole science of that called earthing that is really cool. So that can be a source of nourishment, a source of energetic nourishment. And then we have things like the Access Consciousness bars and body processes, maybe some different types of body work, actual physical touch. Touch can be kind of a food group, let's say. And the Access Consciousness bars is, it's points on the head, energetic points that when you hold them, it discharges so much neurological activation, so much stress, and actually really kind of gets you back to you in a very short period of time. And it can be an hour, it can be 20 minutes, it can be more than an hour if you have more time. I was just kind of thinking today, gosh, I could use a good 8-hour bars session right now. I love having my bars run. That's what we call it. It's having your bars run. And it's literally just somebody holding these beautiful points on your head. And when they touch them, it's like, oh, even right now, as I touch my, here, this is called the implant band. It's like, wow, my body's like, yes, please. Can we have more of this? And so that's one type of nourishment you could provide that, and the bars and the body processes. The bars is a body process, but there's hundreds of other body processes in Access Consciousness that are energetic processes, hands-on energies that we run on the bodies that facilitate a different reality with our bodies. And it's kind of like when you exercise, you move your body, you get stronger, and then you get to just enjoy that greater strength in life. Bowspring movement is something that I teach. And there's this whole kind of like development of what we call tensegrity, like this tensile integrity that comes from the strengthening and the bringing back online and into like a harmonious, alignment of the fascia, the tissue of the body, the bones. And with bowspring, one of the things that you would do is actually you develop this tensile strength, this tensegrity over time. And then at resting, your body holds itself in that posture. It's more of an open posture. It's more structurally accurate. It's more balanced. Like we do so much compensation with our bodies posturally that we don't realize we're doing. And so Bowspring is one of the things that also a great resource for developing more neuroplasticity and stress reduction, by training our nervous system to be able to go lots of places, and then really honing that parasympathetic capacity for relaxation, coming to rest. And so basically, there's energy work, there's access bars, there's body processes, there's Bowspring movement or any kind of movement. Running for me is a great one, hiking, ice skating. So, I have the things that I love to do and other people have their things. It's not about, you have to do my thing. I just want to give people resources because, right now, there's so much going on in the world that just is really, we all know it. I don't even really need to finish my sentence. Like everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? The world is rapidly changing, a lot of things rapidly devolving. I would say evolving into greater, but there is definitely a bit of a death process that we're going through right now globally in so many ways. And I think it's appropriate and necessary and, part of the deal. And I'm like, okay, I knew this was going to happen. So here we are. But there's an element that the stress levels are so high of so many people with their bodies and their relationships and finances and all this stuff, that it's even more important to take time to specifically tend to the biome. Because if we don't, we will more easily get swept away into all of the hubbub around, the problems of the world. And it's those of us that are the seekers that know something is different, that have a different, sense of possibility, that, it's a really essential time for us to show up and stay true to what we know. And the gifts that we are, came here to be in the evolution of a different planet, a different world, a different future. And if we can't, if we're too neurologically taxed and stressed out, then we cannot participate in that. We cannot lead. We cannot contribute to that future in the way that we can if we are resourced. And to me, leaving our bodies out of it, it doesn't work, because our nervous system will come in and hijack our autonomic nervous system, which is comprised of sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight response, parasympathetic nervous system, relaxation response. That's our autonomic nervous system, and it will kick in and steal the show, take you out of your capacity to be present, to be resourced, to respond appropriately, to create a future, and kick you into this reality of stress, relaxation. The opposite of relaxation, but reaction, and basically getting swept away with the tide of everybody else. And so it's more critical and important than ever, I would say, to be really taking the time to tend to our bodies and the biome of our businesses, our bodies, and our living, which includes how we live, like, how you do everything, your relationships, and, what do you do in your free time? How do you function? How do you, what type of pleasure and deliciousness do you create for yourself? Which is, maybe a bit of a story for another time. I do have a podcast on the creation of living, which is really all about that, the hedonistic side of things, but you can't even get to that if you're stressed and you're in reaction and you're not resourced. So taking the time, getting energetic work for the body, moving your body, getting body work, maybe, whatever it is for you. And, if you want to know some more resources, you can look at my website, heathernichols.com. There's all kinds of things that I do with people there, private intensives and sessions and things like that, and classes and wonderfulness. But find what works for you, find what works for your body and then take the time, carve the time out every single day to move your body, to care for your body, to, facilitate your body to come down, come down, come down. More peace, more relaxation, more relaxation. And the funny thing is that we think that we cannot relax because we think we have to stay in the supercharged world with everybody else. When you are relaxed, then you can be an effective leader. You can be an effective worker, partner, parent, friend, person with yourself, because you get to see you get the lay of the land so much more in that space. And when you're not, you're just, one of the minions. You're more swept up in that whole sympathetic, hyper aroused, neurologically, biochemically activated state that doesn't allow you to have you. And you are your greatest resource, whether you know it or not. You are your greatest resource. And when our bodies can't find that place to rest and relax, then we don't get to have access to our being. So those are the kind of things to do on a daily, and I mean, those are just some of the things. There's so many things, how you eat, what you feed yourself. There's just so many things. The quality of your relationships, et cetera. So lots of things that you can weave into your life and your living to make sure that your body is it's like every day, hey, hey, hi, how you doing? It's like if you have a relationship with a romantic relationship, or with a child, let's say a parent-child relationship, any type of important relationship that you have with somebody who's close in, you probably have some level of checking in with them every day. I know with my kids, I don't have to talk to them every day. I'm divorced, so they're not with me every day. But, I do check in on some level with them every day, just to see how they're doing. So it's we got to do that with ourselves and our bodies. That it allows you to start to develop this neuroplasticity of expanding your range, basically, neurologically, of being able to come to relaxation and rest out of the stress thing. On a daily basis, and it strengthens. It's like going to the gym for relaxation. If you go to the gym every day, you get stronger. If you do this every day, your nervous system gets stronger, which I think is one of the most important things for us to do right now. And then, so now we're going to transition to the short term, kind of in the moment things that you can do that are sort of you're sort of drawing on the bank account of everything that you put in, all the deposits that you make into your parasympathetic health, into the health of your ability to relax and calm and become spacious and present, so we have that, bank account, and then we can draw on it. It's in little bits of, little moments, because we continually fund it every day. It grows, even when we draw upon it, it's still growing because we're funding it every day. And then you can, then there's, things that you can do in the moment. So breath is a really valuable resource that a lot of people don't breathe. I mean, yes, of course we're breathing, but how often do you actually just pay attention to your breathing, And I notice this a lot. I've been noticing this a lot lately, and my body's been really clear with me lately, showing me, hey, you're not breathing when you're at your computer, My body is not a huge fan of electronics. I have a feeling most bodies in the world have that point of view, as much as we are fascinated with electronics, and what a beautiful resource that we have if used appropriately. It's like such a beautiful resource to be able to connect with each other across the globe like we are now. But we've really replaced interaction, with electronics, and that is, that's definitely, I'm not going to really go there. I mean, I will say that if your interactive, interpersonal world is done through electronics, largely, I would invite you to look at that. I know for me, when I have more of that, I spend time on Zoom with absolutely beautiful people, and still, having a lot more in-person time lately with people. And gosh, I have been absolutely loving it. It's like, I did not come to this world to like be on my phone and my computer all the time. I love to be in person, in body with people. So anyway, that was a little bit of a side note, but how's your breathing? I mean, even right now, are you breathing? How's it going? And one of the things that you can do is actually breathe into the sides of your ribs. When you breathe into the sides of your ribs, your whole rib cage actually opens. So that it expands all of your lungs, and your lungs go down and back more than most people realize into the back body. And so our lungs and our ribs, when you really expand that on your breath, your diaphragm moves down. It triggers, actually, this is a little kind of geeky neurological thing, but when you breathe from your belly and you really expand your rib cage on your breath, your diaphragm actually, it moves down in such a way that it triggers the vagus nerve, which is actually responsible for the parasympathetic nervous system. So the vagus nerve is, it allows us to calm. It triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the relaxation response. So spending time in, just breathing, and you can do that in a meeting. You can do that in, an interpersonal interaction with somebody. You can do that, nobody has to know that you're like, I'm feeling stressed out right now, I'm going to breathe. Nobody has to know that. Putting your hand on your chest, even in your belly, like just touching your body. And if if you don't want someone to see you doing this, say you're in a meeting or whatever, you could just put your hands on your legs, but make contact with your own body. Say hi to your body. Say hello. And, maybe just do that right now. That is like, okay, cool. I'm here. Hey body, I'm actually here with you. I'm here with you. I'm here with me. I'm not leaving me for the trigger, the stressor, the world, I'm not leaving me right now. And the beauty of this, which really to me is very much ultimately really about presence with ourselves, is that when we don't leave us, we just, obviously stating the obvious here, but sometimes it's good to state the obvious, that when we don't leave us, we have the greatest resource that we have, which is who we are. What you bring to the table, what you bring to the party, what you bring to the planet, what you bring to you. And to me, that is the greatest nourishment for the biome, is giving yourself more of you every day. But if your body is bound and wound, you're hiding you from you behind all of the noise of your nervous system, all of that activation, you're hiding you from you, and of course the world too, but we've got to go to you. We can't, put your oxygen mask on before someone else, before you put it on the person next to you, if they need help. So this is part of how we do that. You can, put your feet on the ground. If you have a little more time and space to play, one of the things I love to do is lay on my back. So if you have an opportunity to go take a 5-minute break, you could lay down on your back and let the front of your body actually melt into the ground. Because so often we are here. When we move in the world, we're like, hi, and when we do that, we forget about what's behind us. We forget about our back, the center of our body, our belly. We forget about our lower body, our back body. And we're just like, hi, I'm just a face. I'm just a head, it's all here, like one-dimensional, and so to really include your whole body, and even if you're just sitting in a chair, or you're in a meeting, or you're having a conversation with somebody, lean back in the chair. Be like, as I talk to you guys, and I always do this because I'm always super present with my body. I'm, sitting back in the chair. I feel my butt underneath me and the curves in my spine, and so including your whole body in your awareness. And that is also something that does take time to develop, but that's part of why we want to take those bigger chunks of time in the day to really put, make the deposits into the bank of resourced neurology, biochemistry, energy, so that our bodies are resourced, so that we can, when we do come to the world, we come to stressful situations, that reactivity, that stress, that knee-jerk stuff, it's just not there, or it's there so much less that you don't have as much noise to sift through to find you. And there's so many tools that I could share. There's so many more. But I just wanted to actually continue this conversation. We were having it this morning in a call I was doing with this small group that I work with called the Generative Business Pods. And somebody was asking about, like working in an open workspace, in a very, very big corporation, where there's a lot of people, there's a lot of stress, and you've got an open work floor plan, and everybody's, there's a whole perspective of, open plan offices where it stimulates, creative engagement and interaction and spontaneous creation and innovation, things like that. And it can also be very intensely challenging for people to work in those environments, because you're aware of everybody's stuff, and so is your body. And so, if that's your situation, be aware of that, what's going on for your body and you, the stress that you may be feeling. And this is what we talked about this morning that triggered this topic. The stress that you may be feeling is, it may not be yours. Like, it may be that you're aware of the stress in the room, and your body is showing you something. It's like, trying to get your attention. And, if you recognize, wait a minute, hold on, I can be with my body. I don't have to jump into the cesspool, the stress pool, I don't have to jump into the stress pool. I can be with me and continue to be resourced with myself. And in doing so, not only have more ease for me, but also, maybe contribute to a little bit less of the stress pool. I'm gonna have to use that term. I love that. And so there's also the recognition of like, this isn't all, like most of what we're aware of isn't actually ours. It's not actually, it's not actually even, something that is it's the energy that we're aware of. It's not like a reality for us, but we make it a reality by taking it on. And when you're continually supporting yourself, your body, your neurology, your biochemistry, your energetic health, the health of your biome over time, then the stress pool becomes less believable. It becomes less, it's not about you anymore. It's not really yours. It's sort of, you're like, oh, I'm aware of this. It's not mine. And then with that awareness, like you have so many more choices to make. And ultimately you become a greater contribution to your team, whatever your work situation is, you become a greater contribution to your family, your relationships, yourself, the world. And to me, it's like, this is a critical moment for us to take care of our nervous systems and create that neuroplasticity, which really is the ability to move between neurological experiences and realities, and to move in between energies, and to have the agility to actually be like, feel ourselves going into stress pool and go, no, I'm not going to do that. And to actually have the choice to put our hands on our belly, take a couple deep breaths and go, I'm not going to do that. And that is something that you have to strengthen over time. It's like, if you're going to, be an Olympic athlete, I'm a figure skater, so I love watching the figure skaters. They make it look so effortless. And I will say, as a skater, that in a lot of ways, skating is very effortless after you've practiced it for years. And that's what skaters get to, is they get to this level of strength, precision, balance, and knowledge, of where you are on your blade, how you're working with your feet, your whole body, where your weight is, your speed, your momentum. There's all these different factors that you just have to practice and practice and practice over time to have the kind of agility to be that powerful of an athlete, or whatever you want to. But if we're looking at like skaters, it's like, it's relatively easy for them because they're so strong, so developed, so agile. Their heart's going to be pounding, but they've trained for it, so we have to train for it. We have to train our neurology for the changing times, the stress of the world right now, and the stress ahead, because there's always going to be stuff, and then we can show up for the game. We show up for the on the rink, or, in the pit, or in the wherever. We can show up for ourselves, and it's relative ease, staying present, connected, resourced, and relaxed. And to me, that is the makings of a fantastic, phenomenal leader and person and contributor to the world. So I hope this was a contribution to you. And like I said, there's so many different ways to deepen this. You can go to my website, and there's a whole session page of, private bodywork sessions. There's verbal sessions. There's private intensives in person where we do body work, and there's online intensives where we can do some stuff over time as well. Lots of ways to deepen your body as your resource, really. I'd like to see a lot more of that in the world. So Thank you so much for being here. Thanks to everybody who was live with me today. It's great to have you here and have your energy. I appreciate it. And watching in the future as well. And take care. Bye for now.